everyone, welcome to episode 5 of Enforcer and the Dude. We say everything people won't, don't or can't. Coming up on this episode, we have TCR. Paul Morris was on site bringing you all the goss. We got Formula One, the Vettel-Hamilton deal. Man, didn't that blow up big style. We got Supercars from Darwin as well. And I tell you what, we're going to say the P word. Parity. Seriously, I thought we were over that. We also got grassroots racing as well. Really cool segment coming up on that. Paul, big couple of weeks of racing. I'm glad we sort of held off from the show from last week.
Yeah, it was a good call because we've got plenty to talk about.
Yeah. I know. Again, you were on ground at Phillip Island and also at Darwin as well. You had a bit of a run around.
Yeah, had
the Aussie car out.
The Aussie car out. And,
How'd you go all right?
Yeah, I think I got a fourth and a third and a DNF, and man, I had some good battles with some young guys, so it was really good fun. Good fun.
I got to say, the Aussie cars. If you want wheel-to-wheel racing, because we've got the grassroots segment here always,
yep.
And we talk about categories that a young guy can go into to get racing experience. There's more passing that goes on in one race than probably happens all year in supercars.
Yeah, and there was there as well. Big slipstreaming battles, bit of bump drafting. All the stuff that you learnt to do, you can do in those Aussie race cars. So, yeah, I had a really good time, mate, and had a beer in my hand after every race, so it was good.
No, very, very cool. Good to see you back behind the wheel again.
Thanks, mate.
Rightio, mate, let's rock straight into it.
Yep.
TCR from Phillip Island. What's your thoughts on the racing? Because, like I said before, you were on hand. You were down there. Having a look around.
Yeah, I was there.
Involved in the TCR stuff. I know you went around, spoke to a lot of people as well about it. It's probably one of the worst tracks, in my opinion, that you take a TCR car because the lack of horsepower, if you compare it to a supercar. So that would be the worst case scenario. What was it like?
I disagree.
Really?
Yeah, but the action on track at Phillip Island was great. The speed in which the cars come onto the front straight, through turn 1, turn 2, and I think the racing and what was happening on the ground was way better than their television production. Like the television production is like something from 1963.
Sure, they'll be happy to hear that.
Well, it is. It's just crap.
Yeah.
And obviously, it really shows how good supercars are at their TV, which is world class. But the racing and what was happening with the cars and the action between the two races was good to watch, and I was excited, and I got really caught up in it.
I suppose to be fair though, I mean, when you look at the millions, literally millions of dollars that get spent in the supercars production as well, you're right, you can't see that. Maybe they have to look at that as part of the whole deal in upping the ante and the spend on the TV production for sure.
Yeah, or try and get on the supercars bill. So, like I don't.
You reckon that'll happen?
I think if it doesn't, the thing won't survive, mate, because what you go and see at the track and what you see on the TV, the TV just does not do it justice.
Yeah, true. I mean, look, I really like one thing as well. You ran into one of the investors of TCR.
Yeah,
and you said they've been looking at the show, and we were talking about you got to let the noose off. You've got to let the guys get out there and race.
Yeah, it's one of the first things they said to me. Good to see you here. Hey, we've listened to you. We're going to let the guys loose.
Fantastic. Probably a little bit too much.
Yeah, I got invited into the media centre, so I was in the media conference, and
they were a bit out of control though. There was a fair bit going on there, but I don't think that was, from what I saw. I watched the races, and from what I saw, it was a bit of this cold tyre thing going on, which half the accidents happened. It wasn't the wheel-to-wheel stuff. It was more so, geez, they're loose on cold tyres.
Yeah, so rear tyre. Look, this is nothing new. You remember back to when we lost Greg Hansford, and I was in that race in 1994.
Yep.
Front-wheel drive car. Same thing happened, and that's when they introduced 2-lap warm-up in Super Touring in Australia to reaction to that. But it's just cold tyre blues. You can't get heat into the rear tyres. I think a 2-lap warm-up at speed, like not going slow, but if you go out of the gate and honk and try and get some tyre temp in, that's something they'll look at. It was discussed down there, and they're on it. But all the action was a reaction to, the teams or the drivers not knowing how to deal with this really, really cold rear tyre.
That's probably the nature of the track as well too, Phillip Island,
cold
because
day.
such a long lap, cold day. Getting there. I looked at Tander. I think Tander had a lose in practice because there's a real technique to trying to save one of these things because it's totally opposite than a rear-wheel drive car, isn't it?
Power out.
Yeah, power out. Yeah, and I think he had a massive lose going to one or going into one or two.
Yeah, he did.
And he actually got his head around, dipping the clutch flat out, actually pull the front round and get the thing round. But there's a definite technique when the things get loose.
Yeah, and that's something they've got to address because all the damage and everything that got happened was because directly related back to that cold tyre. But another thing, I spoke to the guys from Michelin, and they do have a softer option tyre.
Why don't they put that on?
Well, I don't know why. I would have definitely run the softer option tyre, more deg, more tyre management. So that's something they've got to look at.
It's getting better though, isn't it? I actually thought it was quite good. I thought the racing was good.
I loved it. I was there. The best thing I liked about it, I walked through the garages between the two races on Sunday.
Yep.
No computers, no technicians telling you how to drive your car. It's just one laptop you can download after you've had your run.
So there's no is there
none of all.
No live telemetry or no telemetry?
No, none, mate. It's gone. So the sensors on the car that you can download, there's some engine stuff and there's some stuff to do with your driving channels or whatever, but you can't really, you haven't got a bank of guys sitting there telling you what to do.
So the sensor is the driver. Really, that's the telemetry. Back to old school.
I looked back and there was Moff getting out of his car talking to his engineer and a guy had a notepad and that was all the way down the pit lane. It was back to the engineer talking to the driver.
It's pretty cool.
And you want to rip some costs out of motor racing, out of supercars, start right there.
Yeah, for sure. Because when you look at a supercar garage, you're right, there's just a flotilla of computers, technicians,
and that's just at
telemetry
the track, guys. I guarantee you some of these teams have got a bank of other technicians sitting back in the headquarters crunching numbers as well.
Well, that's what they reckon is possibly happening with Penske. They're sending information back to the States.
Well,
between rounds.
No doubt it is.
I don't know whether it is or isn't, I don't
know.
But
if I was them, I'd be doing that.
But that's cool. That's cool. It's actually getting back to more about the driver. He's the one that articulates whether the car's and it teaches the driver as well, especially for a young guy as well.
Think about what they're doing.
Yeah, use this. Not so much in laptops. I reckon it's pretty cool. No, it's good. Hey, Marcel Lottie, I hope I got his name right.
Yep.
That was right. He is the head man.
He's a TCR inventor.
TCR, he's it.
He's the guy that
he owns the whole concept of it. He was there at Phillip Island, which is a bit of a coup for the category as well. He had a lot of positive things to say about the category, which is great for the category.
He wants to sell cars.
He wants to sell cars, of course. Yeah, he's doing the right thing. But he came out with a statement and said, TCR not in competition with supercars, which we stated that, I think, the first or second episode of this show, we said, don't look at TCR as a competition against supercars. Because I think a lot of fans get their head, this is going to take off, this is going to sink supercars. It shouldn't be thought about that. Not because of the nature of the category, mainly because it is just another category. So look at it that way. And obviously, Lottie says the same thing. We're not here to try and sink supercars. We just want another racing category for people to go racing in.
Yeah, and it's affordable. And I think he's right. Like if I was at the Supercars on Darwin on the weekend and I sat on the hill and saw the supercars run out, they're an exciting car just by themselves. You see the TCR car come out and drive around the track by itself, it'll probably put you to sleep. You put them in a racing situation, like Aussie race cars, they're pretty good to watch. So for me, they're no threat and they should be on the supercars program. They'd be great entertainment. As again, you've got a problem there with supercars tried to engage the manufacturers by building super utes. They should just bury those things, do a deal with TCR and get on with it.
Yeah, that's a good point because you talk about Aussie cars and it's so similar in some respects as well. There was only 18 at Phillip Island. You get 30 of the things. Look out.
Yeah.
It should be really good.
It's good. It's good to watch.
Hey, let's move on to Formula One.
Yeah.
As well. Look, a bit of controversy there. Did you see? Watch the Vettel Hamilton deal. Mate, my version is, Vettel got absolutely dudded You know, I appreciate Vettel. I'm not a big Vettel fan. I think he sooks up now and then, but overall he's a pretty good steerer. He was in the clear on that one, and there was no doubt about it. Like, the guy's a bit out of control. He's come off the grass. You know, they're saying that that he tried to fence Hamilton, but that's what blows me out about the whole thing is that, like, at the end of the day, the dude's still out there fighting. Whether he did, put a bit of right hand lock on, well, that's life.
Oh, I agree, but the problem's the rules, Russ. If you keep writing rules and filling the rule book full of rules, blokes have to interpret the rules.
Yep.
So there's a rule in there that he's breached. So to me, the problem comes, and it's the same problem Supercars has got. There's just too many rules about how you drive the car, or what you should do or what you shouldn't do. Those two blokes know exactly what happened.
Exactly.
They know exactly what happened. And if you sat them down like me and you now, they go, oh, you ran off the grass, you put too much pressure on me, I come back on, I just gave you enough room. Like, there was no danger.
Of course not. And Hamilton didn't have a drama with it.
Huh?
Hamilton didn't have a drama with it.
He
said
tried to milk
afterwards,
the penalty, which he would do.
of course, yeah. But he didn't have an issue. He didn't come out and slam him. He said, oh, look, I don't think the penalty was just. I'll take the win. But so he didn't have a drama with it. So the driver involved didn't have a drama. Why the hell didn't they look at it after the race and pull those two in and go, we got any issues here? And they go, no, look, that's life, and get on with it. And
because the rule book shit.
Yeah, yeah.
There's all these Formula One drivers used to be gladiatorial. You just go, man, I want to be that guy.
Yeah.
That guy is danger.
Yeah.
And when I grow up, I want to be like him. Did you grow up aspiring to one of these blokes?
Not at all. Not at all. And I found it interesting to hear comments I like hearing comments from all the other drivers, because that shows their personality.
Yep.
And also whether they were hardcore. And a lot of the other drivers that came out said, even Brundle on the F1 telecast, he said, again, he was pretty hardcore. He said, that was crap. That was a crap
Good
call,
on him.
all the rest of it. But then you got Damon Hill.
Yep.
Rosberg came out as well.
All the softies.
Perfect. Spot on. Absolutely spot on, Mr. Morris. You're
Yep.
right on. I knew you'd say that, unprompted. For sure, all the dudes there that were soft racers,
Yeah.
in my opinion, they were soft racers of their time. I mean, Hamilton smashed Rosberg internally. They were in the same car. He smashed him because he knew he was soft. They've all come out and gone. That wasn't on. The rules were right. Crap. And then all the hardcore racers are going, that was bull. So it shows you that it definitely brings out the personalities of opinion, I reckon, especially in races as well. And they can't afford this, Paul, because when I look at the results, 5 cars were on the lead lap. 5 out of the whole field.
Yep.
Ricardo was 6, a lap down. They're in a bit of strife.
And he thought he had a good result because he got points.
How could you be happy being a lap down in 6?
Yeah.
So
you can't be, mate.
They got some major issues with the whole deal with F1. So to do this sort of thing as well, it's a bit like Supercars as well don't do dumb decisions publicly that's going to affect the perception of the category. Make it about the racing.
Yeah, well, Emmanuel Pirro was the driving steward on the thing. He can't even move. He's had to move out of his house because of death threats.
Oh, serious?
Yeah.
That's severe.
It's severe. Like, there's been a big reaction from the Italian fans.
Ferrari fans.
Yeah, about this. So
interesting.
Good thing about it, people are talking about the sport.
Yep.
It's showcasing Formula One, but geez, it just shows how soft the rules are and
out of control.
People want to see racing drivers race.
Yep. Hey, let's go on to Supercars, Darwin, because you were on the ground.
Yeah, I was
as well. You're on the ground. Do you like my logo?
Yeah.
You agree? Because I was hoping we'd never use the P word again. I sort of said at the opener, parody. What went on with the Holden aero change that went on, that no one seemed to know what was going on? And it was actually Tom Howard from Speed Cafe who broke the story, I think on Friday night, about it. He found out what was going on, made it public, and then seems like everyone's ducking for cover.
Yeah, well, I really don't know. It was like, I know it's been brewing in the background for a while. So this has been happening for a while. The Holden have been politicking for a change to that under tray to make it the same as the other cars. but the way it was handled press-wise was just average. Like I would have wanted to seen if I turned on the TV on Thursday to watch the show, because I watch everything. I would want to see Larko or Scaife or one of those guys explain the whole thing to me so I know what's going on.
So why? Why did they stick their heads in the sand about this and just think no one was going to pick it up? I mean, of course it was. You can't hide that sort of stuff. It was going to get out.
I don't think they deliberately tried to hide it. I just think it from a media point of view, or it was just mismanaged. Like I can't work it out why they didn't. So you've got to be on the front foot with this stuff, and you've got to just. Supercar fans aren't dumb.
You know how I'm seeing this.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that. Roll back to Perth night race, right? You had a visit from a couple of heavyweights from the States.
Sure. Yeah. Ford
right?
guys.
Yeah. Being Penske and the head of Ford Performance. Right. So they didn't roll over there for a holiday. I'm sure there were some meetings. So the information that I get in the background, that there was a couple of meetings there that was right or wrong. They said, stop messing with the Mustang. Like, we didn't come here to play and be hit with an axe every 5 minutes, hit with a parity stick. That's what I believed happened. And it seems like now they're too worried, concerned, whatever word you like to use, about doing anything with the Mustang. So they're going, okay, well, let's go the other way. Let's give the Holden a leg up and try and even it that way. Is that a fair assumption, or?
I'm sure that conversation was had, but you've got to understand now that with someone like Adrian Burgess there in the technical department, he wouldn't have let that go through if the Commodore didn't have a deficiency in that area. So the more information they're gathering, the supercars can watch live telemetry on the cars now. They're putting some resources around it, and they've made an adjustment based on technical information. I don't think it's an emotional thing. I think that, the Commodore has got a deficiency there. It's not the same as the Nissan. It's not the same as the Mustang. Let's see if we can even it up. And
it's not sitting well with the fans.
Well, it's not sitting well with the fans because the delivery was wrong.
Yep. But
if that was explained, then you deal with it. But look at the racing. The Commodore had more of a chance. You had Reynolds there fighting for second. If Scott McLaughlin wasn't there, that car would have won the race.
Well, one team was going all right. That's what I base it on as well. That's why I'm not sure about all this. I keep seeing, things like the Erebus car up there. So the Holden can't be that bad. It's just that the other Holden teams aren't doing as good a job. If they were doing as good a job as what Erebus are doing at the moment, or even if it was only equal, there'd be another 4 Commodores in the top 10. And then all of a sudden, no one would be whinging about parity.
Yeah, I don't think they're whinging. I don't think this is...
You don't reckon?
No.
Whinging's probably the wrong word, but just keep making alterations to the aero. Is it just that the Holden teams at the moment aren't doing as good a job?
No, I don't think it is. I think there's definitely a difference in the car, for sure. And Adrian Burgess and his team in the technical department are investigating and looking at stuff, and if they see something that needs fixed, they're fixing it, which can only be better for the fans, for the racing, to keep it closer and keep that technical parity.
Be transparent about it though. If you're going to do something like this, because it's such a touchy subject with the race fans, be transparent, explain to the punters.
100%.
If you explain to them, they're not idiots. The people that follow their sport, it's like football or cricket or whatever, they know the sport very well. So explain to them why you're doing it, detailed, and not just by the head of the game. It can be from the people. It should be from the people from the technical side of it, down the line.
You got Larko there, who's probably the best in the business at explaining stuff very simply to people what it is, and that just needs to be done.
Explain it properly though, in layman's terms, why you're doing it. Don't try and hide it, because I tell you,
on the front foot. Should have been the first thing that happened on the telecast. Hey, race fans, this is what's happened. This is what we've done.
Or tell us, and we'll explain to them.
Yeah, well, I did know, but I couldn't really say anything. So.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, there's an option for you. Just tell us, and we'll get it out there for you.
Yeah.
Fans seem to believe us by the comments we got, so it might not be a bad outlet. Racing in general over the weekend, it actually looked pretty good. There was a bit of fisticuffs.
Yeah, mid-pack, like if you take take the first sort of 2 or 3 cars out. The starts were aggressive.
Yep.
Guys are having a bit of a go. No one really got teams looking at cloud cover and working out when they were going to go. So you saw a few cars go out of sync.
Yep.
Dave Reynolds went out of sync with everyone and waited for a bit of cloud cover and went, and that's when it picked him up 3 or 4 tenths.
Far out.
So,
Okay.
So a bit of different
Pretty
stuff.
smart though. It's good they're thinking about that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it was. It made it.
And the times were really close, and that's one thing you've got to give it in qualifying when you look at the results. Geez, they're close. I mean, a tenth of a second moves you up 5 spots. Like, it's just ridiculous how close it is.
It was a good race meeting, mate. The facility up there is probably one of the best in the world. What they do up there with that racetrack, and if you ever want to go to a supercar race, go to Darwin.
And they're investing in it too. They keep investing.
Mate, people are there. People ask me what's it like up there. I say, well, you go to somewhere else in the world and you've had too many beers, the police want to lock you up.
Yeah.
You go to Darwin and you had too many beers, the police will drive you home.
That's good. That's a good way to put it.
It is. It's
That's
a good
great.
place to go.
Hey, I look at McLaughlin. Is McLaughlin that good? I know he's good, but Jesus, it's not one off. I mean, he's just out there punching away, qualifying, race. Is he that good?
I think he could be, and he could be getting better. How old is he? 26? 26, mate. What were you doing at 26? Probably still driving your Formula 4.
Yeah.
So he's
still got plenty left on the table.
You think about how much you learnt between the ages of 26 to 34 about driving a race car. He's not going to hit his peak for another six years.
It's scary, isn't it?
And you put him together with some smart people.
Yeah.
And all his brain power just has to be focused on driving that car. It could take it to a level that no one's ever seen before.
I mean, we thought Jamie Whincup level was high. Man, he's just taken to not the next shelf.
Yeah.
he's gone onto the roof.
But it just happens in every sport,
yeah,
doesn't
it does. Someone comes along
and just keeps moving the bar.
Leads me to my next point.
Yep.
A lot of talk over the weekend about Mostert, out of contract, talks about him. Let's look at both of them as well, because Tim Cindric's come out this week and said it's not off the table that Scott McLaughlin could be heading to the States. And I'd like to get your view on it, because you've done a lot of racing in the States with the stadium trucks. Would you like to see those two drivers do something overseas? I've got my view on it, so I'll get yours first. But have a swing at it. Yeah. Would you like? I mean, if you were Chaz Mostert or Scott McLaughlin, I think they're slightly different, because I think McLaughlin's got a lot better options.
Yeah, Chaz has got an option to go with BMW and drive a
Would you do it? Would you, Kate?
Drive a GT car?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't.
Really?
No.
That's
I would not go and drive GT, because it's half your life you spent sandbagging and going slow, trying to get the balance of performance right for the key races you want to do. So
yeah, but hang on. That's you're only using that as an avenue. So go to Europe, yeah, okay, to race, but it might lead on to something else in another category.
I don't think so.
Yeah, really?
I think he'd be stuck in driving GT cars and cruising around Europe, having a lovely time.
Yeah.
Might have a crack at some of those races, but no, I reckon Chaz is a racer, mate. He wants to get he wants to get in the car, hang on to it, and rip it. And Supercars is one of those formulas.
I'd like to see him go overseas. I just think the opportunity, if you can ever get it, because I did it for 6 years and it was some of the best time of my life. I reckon it was so good, because different countries, different people, and you learnt so much along the way. And if you got the opportunity, just grab it, mate, because you can always come back here.
I don't reckon you can. I reckon
you don't reckon he would?
I reckon if you packed up and left for 4 or 5 years and tried to come back, there'd be another Chaz Mostert or another kid coming through that's going to run you over. So
it's just a long time here, stuck in one place doing one category.
Yeah.
For the next 8 years.
Time will tell. But if I had an opportunity, if I was those guys, opportunity to go and race a GT car around Europe, maybe
Scott McLaughlin, though?
Scott McLaughlin go and do NASCAR.
Yeah.
That's a different story.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
See you later.
Tomorrow. And, but the big thing for me on that is you're racing every weekend, mate. You won't have a life. It's a it's a different championship to what he's doing here, you know. You're not coming home and playing with the dog and hanging out and going for a bike ride and having a coffee. You're like racing every weekend, and that is going to be your life.
That's what when Marcus Ambrose came back from the States. That's what burned him out.
Yeah.
I spent a bit of time with him. We did a bit of a trail for like 3 days in Tasmania and had a good chat with him about this. And that's what burned him out. He said, you don't realise just every weekend, and it's just constant travelling. You know, you get home on the Monday after a race. The Wednesday you were gone again.
You're gone again, mate.
2 days at home each week. So he was punishing. But Jesus, for McLaughlin, I mean, and especially if you're fed straight into a top team, because I'm not telling you anything new, but teams make a big difference, especially on ovals. Man, if you had the chance to do it, you'd just jump all over it. Like, you'd have to have a go, wouldn't you?
Yeah, he has to have a go.
And he's good enough to
But he's got some stuff to accomplish here first,
True.
I think.
But if he wins the championship this year...
Yeah, I'd like to probably a Bathurst on there. And
Yeah. He can always come back for Bathurst, though, can't he? So
he can do, but it's going to be... Whether he gets a chance or not, because Penksy's a guy that puts his drivers in his boxes, you know. He doesn't move them around. It's your job's to drive the Indy car, your job's to drive the Nascar, and Scott's job's to drive the Supercar team. So
I just like what Matt Campbell's done. He's gone over, had a swing, been very successful with Porsche. He's you know, he looks like he's carving out a little niche for himself. I'd like to see him have a go at it. Mossert, I'm hearing you.
He mightn't have a choice either, Chaz.
Or Trey.
If he can't go to Penske, he definitely doesn't want to stay at ProDrive.
Yep.
If you can't read between those lines, like Tim Edge was saying, we're working on trying to sign him, and then Chaz is like, I haven't worked out what I'm going to do yet. Clearly that relationship has run its course and he doesn't want to be there.
It's not, I mean, it happened with Mark Winterbottom, didn't it?
So he's like, I want to get out of this deal.
Okay.
If he can't go to Penske and he can't go anywhere else, maybe he will go off and do that.
Hey, quickly, what's your read on that team owners principals press conference? Did we learn anything out of that? I know they're trying new initiatives. Did we find out anything?
The thing I got from it, which to me was hypocritical. Tim Edwards got asked a question about, is the team doing better or is it just the Mustang?
Yep.
And his response to that was, the team's doing better because they've been developing and working really hard and got new things coming online for the car. So basically he just said, we're spending a shitload of money on developing new stuff for the car, but then on the other side, they're saying, no, we need to cut costs.
Need to cut it back.
So the biggest conflict I've ever seen in my life.
So change the car so you don't have to spend all that money, something they should have done years ago.
It just proved to me you can't, someone's got to come along with a big stick and go, team principals, team owners, or whoever who's involved in that decision-making process, it's flawed.
It's flawed.
They can't be involved in it. You need someone, you need a dictator to go, boys, this is what you're going to be racing, because you guys can't work it out.
I said this all along, that you shouldn't have team owners in there making decisions, because you're always going to get a percentage of self-interest. It's human nature.
You are.
It's human nature, no matter what. I mean, there's very few people, when you look at the progression of supercars over the years, that actually gone in and looked at it from the point of view from the category as a whole. Everyone has a percentage of going. Would you say Larry was probably the only one?
He was probably the best at it.
He was probably but he always looked at the bigger picture though, didn't he, as well?
Yeah, because he knew that he couldn't keep up if the rules got like, if he was still racing now.
Yep.
Well, there's a reason he's not racing now, mate, because his idea of going to a racetrack and what's there now is a completely different thing.
So he saw it coming and went, see you later.
See you later, yeah.
Okay, well this is actually quite fitting because this leads me on to a two-part series that are going to be running. This is going to be the first part on our view, Enforcer and the Dude, of what supercars should be looking at to control with the car and what the car should look like in the future as well. Like I said, two parts. First part, and it's really interesting, so stay with us. We're going to head into Paul Morris's workshop now and have a look around because he's still got a bit of hardware around and see our take on it. So let's get over there. Oh dude, this brings back some good memories.
Had good times in here, didn't we, mate?
Yeah, ran the super cheap car out of here for several years. Still looking immaculate, mate.
I reckon we had a few fights in here too.
Yeah, I reckon. Some of the joys of running a supercar team. Okay, Paul, so this is what we're talking about. Firstly, I think we have to explain what the previous generation car was, which they called Project Blueprint. They like coming up with these fancy names. And then the current car, which is Car of the Future. So just take us through some of the more major changes they did when they went from chassis A to chassis B.
Yeah, so Project Blueprint, actually this car was built for you and never raced.
This is brand shiny new.
Yeah, brand shiny new. It was built for you,
Yep.
and you never actually got to race it. So it's just been sitting here, but we've been assembling it. So what happened with Project Blueprint? You had a control chassis structure, but you had a fair bit of freedom in the roll cage area to make it fit the silhouette of your car. And as long as it met the cams and Supercar safety standards in roll cage design, you could sort of do what you want up there with the bar work. So you can see that's a fair bit different.
So the teams could build their own chassis. So
Yes.
a majority of the teams just about all had their own fab shop, build their own chassis like you did.
Built their own, but the chassis rails and the floor plan and all that was the first time we'd gone away from a production car. So everything hand built, no production parts in the build of the chassis.
The firewall was a production part, and the floor pan.
No.
No, that was open.
Yeah, that was open.
So
So,
you
it started being that way, then it was like, let's just delete all that tin and we'll just make it how we want it.
Okay,
That's
so
it.
it's leading towards
Yeah.
where we are now.
What we are now. So the cost savings in building this chassis to this chassis was, these are all the same no matter what model.
Yep.
This was, could change depending on what you manufacturer. So if this was still in play when the Mustang come in, you probably could have got the Mustang on one of these Project Blueprint cars because there was some freedoms in the roll cage design.
Now, just to explain, because it's a comment that we've had from a lot of viewers, is that this Blueprint car was actually cheaper to build than the previous. It's actually more work and labour intensive building a roll cage into a standard road car shell.
Yeah, so we'd
that
have a
fair?
standard road car shell,
Yep.
and how we evolved to this was you'd spend hundreds of man hours just deleting all the OEM parts off the thing, get inside it, weld the roll cage in. This is the first time we went to a tube frame type chassis.
I remember in the Perkins days when you used to do it with the VS Commodores. You're right, they spend weeks just cutting everything out of it
Yep,
to put a roll cage in.
cutting everything out. Then
Okay.
they do a special production car run of shells down the line. Holden would stop the line and delete all that stuff. So it eventually evolved to Project Blueprint. It was a pretty cool car, which is what you see in Super 3 today.
Right. So better and cheaper.
Better and cheaper, stronger.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what changed from then to car of the future as far as starting from the back end working forward?
Well, what changed was we got rid of the rear axle housing that we all banjo type housing.
Yep.
Went to a transaxle, so the gearbox and everything in the back part of this car now, which is sits there. The fuel tank then became put in here for
So
safety.
fuel tank here was right at the back,
Yeah,
which
fuel
is
tank was there.
So if you've got a decent hit up the back,
You're on
that's
fire.
safety.
I have one of them. Few of us have
You're
one
on
of them.
fire. We've seen a few of them in Oran Park.
Fuel tanks there, so that's good. So they started controlling the chassis, the build of the chassis, all the tube work, and the actual chassis is controlled, not specific to each model. Moving forward, we go right to the front of the car, everything's controlled. We get to the front of the car here,
Yep.
and nothing's controlled forward from here.
So cut-off point was there.
Yes.
Why?
Well, the big thing why they didn't do it was redundancy. What they didn't want to have is have the teams have to make a new front end. So make everything you want. Everything had to be new from the back part of the car, but they stopped it here, and it was.
Is that weird?
It was
Like, what-
politics, mate. It was nothing to do with saving money. It was like teams trying to protect their IP in the front end of their car.
Which in the end now has punished them.
Well, the argument to keep all this was redundancy. But since then, everyone's had 20 different versions of a front end, and they're still making new ones now.
So in hindsight, they should have pressed on, not done 75% of the car, done 100%.
Whole thing should have been controlled, and the airbox should have been controlled, and the air take into anywhere the teams can spend money and develop, they'll spend money, and they spend a fortune in this area. So upright wishbones, cross members, top arms is free, and that's where they spend their money developing stuff.
It just seems lunacy to me that they didn't do that right from the word go. Like,
Well, they didn't want to throw all this stuff out, mate, but they all made 3 or 4 new versions every week anyway.
yeah, absolutely. Machine shop guys kept them in business, I suppose.
Yeah.
But that's about it. Chassis wise, now looking at this chassis,
Yeah, sorry,
right? Look at this chassis right here. My question to you is, did they go forward from going blueprint to car of the future because it was meant to be cheaper, meant to save the teams in the category money, but in hindsight now, especially with the debacle of trying to fit the Mustang body parts onto this, which has been an absolute nightmare and made the car look a bit funky, to say the least.
Yep.
Would they have been better off staying with the Project Blueprint car? At least they could have altered the chassis to suit pretty well any bodywork that were going to go on it, within reason.
In history, probably yes, but the reason we went this way was to try and entice new manufacturers. We thought if we have a transaxle, they'll come in. If we have independent rear end, it'll have more OEM relevance. But the big reason why we went to a control chassis was hopefully one person will build them all. So you get economies of scale, but it never happened that way. All the teams just ended up building their own anyway, so the price never went down.
But why didn't they do that? Because, you know, if you
We were meant to go
to a bulk distributor, it's going to be cheaper.
That's what never happened. So you never had bulk purchasing, and you never had bulk distribution of parts. The idea was always to have a parts truck where if you had a transaxle problem or an upright problem, you could go to a centralised parts truck. That never happened. The teams got control of it, started building their own chassis again, and all you did was change the design and didn't save any money.
The idea was right, bad execution.
Left
fair
it.
to say.
Teams got involved, messed it up.
Again, what we said before, earlier on in the show, keep the teams out of it.
Because they'll just protect the bits that go fast, make them go fast, or the bits that they think make them go fast.
I want to look at some other components to see where, if we were running the show, right, where we could shave money off straight away.
It's easy.
Let's go over and have a look.
Okay.
Paul, just spotted this. This is a Mark car chassis?
Yeah, the Mark car, the Mark II, which is the Mustang shaped car.
Yep.
So it's about a $45,000 item built by Pace Engineering.
All right.
Supercars need to go to something like this. The modern shapes of cars can be fitted to it, but this one's designed to fit the Mustang shape, so that's something they could go to.
Something they could look at.
Something they could look at.
Yep.
You're not going to save a lot of money unless you build a lot of them at once, just like we were talking to.
But that's it, should be one person making all the chassis. And there's more components, I think the doors, front and rear windscreen, there's more components on that standard off a Mustang than there is on the Supercar.
Well, it is, but we base that off the Mustang. You know, the trouble the Mustang had in supercar races, it had to fit the car of the future platform. So that platform was designed to look cool from the start.
Good thing to look at anyway.
Yeah.
Rightio, let's get on to components. Starting from the anti-roll bar system, seems pretty minor because you think, oh, it's just a tube metal with some knurling on the end, and the rocker system. But the front and anti-roll bar, that was one of the components that was left open in the car of the future, which I believe should have been fixed and controlled. Seems simple, seems cheap, but it's not, is it?
No, there's a lot of development going on this area, so especially with twin spring being now outlawed, the development in the rocker, so it can be digressive or progressive in the way it actions. So the teams are really developing in this area a lot at the moment.
So this is a rocker that alters the rod that goes down to the blades on the sway bar.
And you see the different holes there where you can pick it up, which gives it a different motion ratio. So that's where they're into now. So just control that. Control the way you use it. Teams have got hydraulics, they've got cables, they've got winders. So if you give teams and engineers something to play with, they'll play with it.
So again, it's not so much the component price, it's the price of the development. These components may be, pick a figure, 5-10 grand, but you're paying $100,000 a year to a boffin to try and find better ways to do it.
They'll find better ways to do it, and then the more engineers you got, the more computing power you got, and we're looking for little tenths of a second, and they'll exploit this area if you don't lock it down.
So again, something that should have been controlled right from the word go.
Should have been done.
Next thing, now Supercars have announced they're looking into controlling and putting a spec shocker in. Again, this is something I think right from the outset should have been put into car of the future. But a lot of teams argued that, oh, we've already got the dampers.
Yes.
Let's roll them over and run with the same thing. But how's the cost in these things?
Well, the cost and the thing I'm a bit worried about with a control spec damper is maintenance. So you know that our cars are pretty aggressive on curbs and the tracks we race on. So the one I'm not completely sold on is a control damper because it's something that needs to be serviced regularly. And if you've got to open up to service, how do you control what's inside? So for me, that could be one that could be left to the teams, but control the components. But I could be wrong.
I look at it as a controlled ECU. If you've got a controlled damper and you think someone's opened it up, it has to be a sealed unit or someone's opened it up and had a bit of a fudge with it, the body being supercars should have a set go, okay, we're just going to randomly change them, right? Randomly give you a set of dampers to put in your car because they should be all the same.
That's a good point. You've just answered my question. So you've got a claimer rule.
Yeah, and these are locally produced. These are Australian.
So I can walk
Supershop.
up to you and go, the damper costs $2,000. You're Roland Dane. I'm going to give you $2,000 and take the front dampers out of your car.
Exactly
Or
right.
go to the truck and get a new set. That works for me. You've fixed that problem, Russ. Thanks.
Done. Okay, no
Beautiful.
problems. And this is a Super Shock, Australian made. If they put it out to tender, that's a sack shocker.
Yeah.
I mean, this would be hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, wouldn't it? With maintenance, buying the shockers.
Yep.
Everyone goes. The trick of the week is I want a Olin's, I want a Sachs, I want a Super Shock. And all of a sudden, the trick of the week, everyone has to go out and buy new dampers.
Yeah, and what happened was the internal components got controlled.
Yep.
So you couldn't update your shocks. But then the old trick came in, the company doesn't make that part anymore.
They have to buy
So,
upgrade.
Buy the upgrade.
So they're upselling all the time.
Yeah, they're still upselling all the time. And then all this flows back down into the Dunlop series as well. So those guys end up getting raped too.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And again, it's personnel to service these things and keep them maintained and all the rest of it go instead of making one robust unit that will actually do a few meetings.
Yeah, so the smart thing to do with this would be to start introducing some of this stuff in Super 2 and save those guys some money as well.
Absolutely.
So,
well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So
the teams wouldn't like that, but because they couldn't sell all their old shit to them.
So already, dude, we've probably shaved $100,000 off the budget just in those couple of items.
Yeah, you got capital expenditure costs, you got the maintenance, and you got the development. So you put that together, it starts adding up.
It's not hard, is it?
No.
This is a big ticket item. I've been looking forward to getting my teeth into this one. And I'm going to look for some guidance here only because I know how much these components, because I was involved with a team that was going to upgrade these components, and when we got the invoice, I nearly fell off the chair. Now this is the upright we were talking about first up on the chassis.
Yeah, this is the
bit they stopped. They should have controlled.
Your front axle.
Yep.
That never got controlled when the car of the future came in.
So upright, steering upright, which holds the front wheel on.
It's got your spindle in it.
Got the spindle on it,
Yep.
your nut and everything, and the two wishbones that go back and hold it on. Now this is a Triple H system, the
Yep.
Triple H engineering mate.
Very early on, like a Mark II, which we still run on that car, Brock Feeney's at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you wanted to upgrade this to now it's number 7, is that right?
Yeah, I think they're at
Number
7 and
7
they come back
upright?
to 5, but there's stuff coming out all the time.
Give me a tag.
I reckon it's around the 50 grand mark for the front axle.
So 50 grand for a pair of these and 4 wishbones. So 4 of these and 2 of these, $50,000, which you can buy a damn good road car for that.
And the problem is,
serious?
mate, when you belt the wall, it's an expensive repair.
Which happens pretty often.
Yeah, which happens pretty often.
Damage the upright, damage the spindle, damage the wishbones.
Yeah, and
bang, bang,
again,
bang.
the guy sitting on the hill, the guy watching on TV, doesn't care.
Who cares?
Well, the team owners should care because they're all going broke trying to keep up with each other.
And these items here, because they're so integral in the setup of the cars and how they pull camber on and all the different dynamics that go with it, they've just been punching these things out over the years, haven't they, since
Yeah.
Car of the Future?
They have been, and now with the advent of simulation and stuff like that, any part of the car that's not locked down, the teams are going to exploit, and the ones with the money are going to exploit it. So the regulations need to be, to me, they need to be tight enough so people say to me, why don't you get back into supercars? This is a reason why I don't want to get back into supercars. Why the hell would I?
It's amazing. I mean,
I don't want to get in a race to who have the best upright. I want to go race the guy.
have a look at it. I can't believe the cost of that. And don't think
But
there's
it's a nice piece. It would cost that to make.
I know.
No one's getting ripped off because the regulation allows you to build such a nice piece. Look, it's fabricated, it's strong.
It's beautiful.
All the development that's gone into it.
Yeah.
The cost is justified, but do we need it to be that? We don't.
Of course it does. And we don't want to be one of these shows that just smashes people up for the sake of it. I mean, this was a clear mistake. It should have been controlled without coming up with a solution.
Yep.
Solution is, ta-da, right. This is again off the Mark car, which has done 24-hour races.
Yeah.
I mean, it's done more racing than a supercar would ever see in a season.
Yeah.
I didn't actually even realise it. This does the back and front of the car.
Yeah, so you can see it's got ears on both sides, so you only need one. It'll go left, front and rear, left or right, where this piece you need one for each corner.
Yep.
So you need half the spares in the truck for a start.
I mean, what a good idea.
We don't get any knockoff. The bearings out of an Audi road car. It's simple, it works, and it does the job. And if everyone's got the same thing, what's it matter?
And for the punter in the stand, who cares whether this is on the car or that on the car? Now, give me the price difference of this components, which do exactly the same as that. Give me the price.
Well, the front axle set for this, you're about $8,000 versus 50.
8,000 to 50.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you, mate.
So you just saved a team $42,000. That's just on one set.
Yeah, and the spare in the truck. You don't need the spare in the truck. You only need one in the truck, or that's your common part supply truck. So
it's just a no-brainer. Like, and to be quite honest, it looks like a better bit of kit.
Well, it's simple. It's just built. That's fabricated. That's billet. The one in the back of the car is billet, very similar to in the car of the future. That's controlled. Lock the front end down.
And same with the steering rack too. This is a steering rack off a marked car, which is actually electric.
Yeah, so I reckon this is the way supercars have got to go anyway. So this is electric variable ratio power steering. It's actually out of a BMW X5.
Yep.
Again, bolts in, works. You don't need power steering pumps. Has way more relevance to what the road car's doing. It's a $4,000 item versus a $8,000 item, and away you go.
And the loads and stresses that would go through this on the marked car would be every bit as much as what a supercar would see.
Yeah, but you're not allowed electric power steering in supercars. It's still got to be what it is. So all this stuff, when they do the next car,
this is what they got to think about doing. Well, not think about, they have to do this.
Yeah, they do.
Because again, in these items here, when you take a year's running, a year development, we've probably shaved $200,000 off with these items.
And you've got OEM relevance.
With one car. Oh, yeah. And if they want relevance to the factory, absolutely.
They're all talking about OEM relevance, mate.
Well, there you go. This what leads me into my next one. Here's an article. I actually pulled this off of Autosport magazine as well. These are the NASCAR plans for 2021.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, right?
Yep.
Had a flick through this, and all the words that you've just used is what the chief of NASCAR has used right here. They want market relevance. They want more of that. They realise a NASCAR has to look more like the road-going version.
Yep.
Mechanically, they realise they've got to come more in line. They're talking hybrid already. Eventually, having hybrid systems. Whoever thought of that? Like a redneck sport of NASCAR, thinking about hybrid. So they're thinking ahead of the game as well.
Well, it doesn't surprise me because they did make a visit. NASCAR did make a visit to Adelaide this year.
To have a look at what's going on over there.
Yeah, have a look what we've got going on.
So to me, when I read this article, it's a really interesting read that to me, it sounds like they're falling more into line on what supercars are doing here up to a point, but also going beyond that as well in looking to the future. My question to you is, Paul, why wouldn't you jump on a plane if you were head of development for supercars? Why wouldn't you jump on a plane to the States, go see Mr. Boss Man of NASCAR and go, dude, sounds like you're going on the same trail as we are. What say we have a bit of a joint venture here? Can we do something together to keep the cost down for both of us?
I reckon that's already going on.
Serious?
I reckon.
What do you know? You're not telling me?
Well, I know that Mark Royce, who used to be the head of Holden here, is now the head of GM.
Yep.
And he would have told those guys, have a look what they're doing in Australia. The road car relates more to the race car.
He switched on, Mark Royce, too. Good
He's
dude.
switched on. Penske would have said the same thing. And
okay.
Sean Seaman just got back from America, so
I think you know a little bit more than what you're letting on.
well, I've got some good mates over there in NASCAR, and I asked a few questions, and I reckon there could be more of an alliance than what you think, and
Is that right?
it all adds up.
Makes sense.
It makes sense, mate. We're going to be racing the same cars. I don't know if you end up with something exactly the same because
engine-wise.
Engine-wise, you could. And the only thing that could be a bit different is the NASCAR's got to be bloody strong to take those big hits on those ovals.
Which they are. They're built like a tractor, aren't they?
But engines, powertrain, the hybrid, the transmission, there's got to be a lot of common stuff there where we could all get together on the same page.
Let me tell you about something as well. I don't know whether you're aware of this or not, but the German Touring Car Championship, DTM, right, and the Super GT Championship in Japan, they're
gone parallel.
Just shaking hands on a deal to share the chassis, technology, engines, and everything. They've done a joint deal because they realised they've been going costs, especially in German touring cars, are blown out to the max. So they've done a deal to run under the same specifications and regulations their two championships. So there's old mate from Super GT and
Supercars racing
shaking hands. It's done deal.
I don't think that'd be as easy with the NASCAR route, but there's definitely some common ground there for sure.
Yeah, at least the conversations have been had.
Yeah, and look, if we source OEM manufacturer supplied race engines, which we should be using, not these hybrid things that we've got to make custom parts for that cost 150 grand.
And especially if you're looking at the road of introducing Camaro, or it might even be Corvette, because there's no guarantee Camaro is going to last forever. Corvette will, because it's an iconic car, but at least if you're aligning yourself with someone that's running the same shape cars, why wouldn't you?
Oh, you've got to deal with the manufacturers, and the manufacturers are in Detroit, so makes sense for us.
Right, this is interesting. Well, let's get back for part two. We're going to look at engines in part two as well, because I don't have to tell you.
Geez, I've spent some money on them over the years.
I know you have. I've lunched a few of yours in the years too. And so that's going to be an interesting one because there's big bucks to be saved under the bonnet. So that's going to be interesting.
Cool.
Good chat.
Good on you, mate. Investigative journalist, Russell Ingall.
How interesting was that? I mean, we've shaved tens of thousands of dollars off a supercar budget in 15 minutes.
Well, it can be done, but it just proves, Russ, that someone's going to make the hard decision.
This is where we were talking about before, about you've got to have an independent body working out this sort of stuff that's got no agenda.
Just keep the teams out, mate.
And we half know what we're talking about with this. We've been around, especially you've run a team since the inception of Supercars as well.
Yep.
You know, you got to make smart, unbiased decisions that's not only going to save money, but also produce better racing, because again, that's what the fans want to see, is better racing as well. And some of it's not hard to do.
It's not. It's just the want to do it without the politics. So.
Well, they got to do it, mate.
Well, they've got
no
do
option.
It, or last one out, turn off the lights, because it's got to happen.
I'm hearing you. Hey, it's time for our favourite segment. I always say it, the grassroots racing. Grassroots racing brought to you by Greenfield Mowers. If you want your next door neighbour's grass cut, use a Greenfields. You would have done a bit of grass cutting with your next door neighbour now.
Mate, I get on that Greenfield all the time out here. It's a bloody good mower.
It is a good mower.
Solid.
It is, I know. Solid. Yeah. Right, okay, now, I'm not sure whether this is a grassroots because it is very popular and very big, and especially running off the back of the Fink race, which was a fantastic race, is off-road racing.
Oh, it's grassroots, mate.
It is grassroots, yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's just that the Fink, have you got these proteins, but it's full of grassroots races all the way down the field. So that's a bucket list race for a lot of people.
Absolutely, and I like to thank, because I don't know a hell of a lot about it. I do watch the Fink though, and it's a very cool race. And of course, with my little ventures with stadium trucks last year, okay, even though I'm bitumen, I'm definitely a converted fan. Thanks to Randall Kilmer from Dirt Comp Magazine too, who gave me all the information on what it's all about. And also Betty from TLA Worldwide too, who gave us that fantastic vision that you've been watching as well. All the categories, I mean, there's pro buggy, pro light buggy, sports light. So these are all the buggies that you see running around. They vary in engine size and capacity as well. Which also varies the cost as well. Forward drives, also a lot of off-road buggies that you can walk into a showroom and buy.
Side-by-side stuff?
The Polaris and Can-Am.
Yeah, Can-Am,
so you just go and buy one, get a heap of hot rod bits you can bolt on, spend as much as little as you want. And they were telling me, like Randall was telling me, you can spend as little as 5K, so you can get a
standard.
Get a Holden Ford Ute, bolt some off-road things. They got a two-wheel drive class.
Yeah.
Right up to $500,000.
for sure.
So big range there. So like you said, just from grassroots all the way up.
Yeah, it's off-road race, and especially in the rural areas, off-road racing and off-road clubs are quite big.
Yeah.
It's part of the community.
There's a state championship. Now, state championships run 8 to 10 race meetings, like within their own state. And they also can do a national series that actually runs 6 events, Fink being one of them as well. And they're normally your bigger events as well. And you can do all 6, or you can just do 1, or whatever you want. But the good thing about it is all the categories, like I said, from the buggies to the extreme 2-wheel drives, 4-wheel drives or whatever, are uniform. So you can do the national series, or you can do your state series as well. And all the classes are the same. So they've had it, they've thought about it.
You can travel and slot into who you're racing against and take your vehicle and race it wherever you want, which is what you want to do.
And again, you know, you talk about grassroots, and they were telling me about the Fink. Like, there was so many people, like if you got a drum with your car or a part that's broken, you haven't got it, everyone pitches in. And you can lend stuff and borrow stuff. There's not
and
like
Speedway's like that as well, isn't it? Really,
very much the same.
Yeah, so same.
Yep.
Maybe we should try and do that race.
We've got to do the Fink.
Yeah.
What would you do it in? Tony Longhurst just did it.
He was 6 in his class.
Yeah, he did it in Can-Am.
Can-Am. Yeah.
He reckons it.
He'd done it before in a production 4-wheel drive once before, about 20 years ago, I reckon.
I'd probably prefer to do it in a truck. We want a side-by-side though. We want a side-by-side.
Well, I reckon you just got to go and do it, just to do it and suss out what it's all about.
Yeah.
So let's go and do it in something that's takes a bit of pressure off us and have a bit of a look around.
He reckons it really jarred him. I spoke to him the other night. Yeah, he came out of it pretty sore and sorry. He said, a bit of double vision going on towards the end. He said it was rough, like it was hard. But those little Can-Am Polaris things, you know, they probably haven't got the suspension travel with the buggies. Buggy would be cool.
Yeah, we'll get a buggy. Okay.
We'll get a buggy?
Okay.
We'll get it like, no, we should get a flat out one. Speaking of buggies, Jack Rhodes, was he overall winner?
Yeah, he was.
And very popular. He actually rolled the thing in the prologue, and you've probably seen some vision of that. Actually rolled it in the prologue and then went on to win the thing. So he just picked it up, dusted it off it went again, and won the damn thing. So congratulations to Jack.
Good on him, and tortoise in the hair, I think. You know, Toby Price had set a cracking pace. I think he had like a 6-minute lead coming into Fink, and then broke down on the return leg, and he was up on time as well. So
it's good. It's great for Fink as well to get someone of Toby Price's stature in there as well, and how popular it is. And good on Toby too. He doesn't care what he races, just goes out and has a good time.
That's the one race he wants to really win on 4 wheels. So yeah, that's his next goal. I guarantee you. He talks about it. He talks about how badly he wants to win that race on 4 wheels. So
we've got to get him on the show. I actually bumped into him at SeaWorld, opening of a new show there not that long ago. I said, will you come on? He said, yeah, I'll come on. So we'll have to chase him up, and geez, he's had some stories. Let's
put him in a car and see what lap time he can lay down.
That'd be a good idea. See what he's like. Yeah,
he can drive anything.
He's been racing the Utes.
Yeah, and when he turned up and raced those Utes at Winton, he was like on the pace straight away.
Yeah. Well, he went. Didn't he? He won one of the races.
He won a race, and he was P2 in practice. And
so
let's get him out here and get him laid down lap
up. Done. Toby Price will come after you. Yeah, David Walsh too. Give him a mention too, because the bikes race at the Fink too, and there is a million of those things out there. And David Walsh took it out too. I believe that was. I think he's. Geez, he was. Was it him or? Yeah, there was like 12 times he was. I think 3 times runner up. 12th go.
Finally cracked it.
Finally cracked it. Yeah. So, Fink will be on the cards for an Enforcer and the Dude. We should film that too. That'd be a bit of a laugh. Let's get to our fan comments as well, because we got a heap of comments coming through, especially after our Kia test. A lot of
people loved it, didn't they?
Blew me out. Yeah. Blew me out. And you know what? We found out that actually a lot of Kia dealers have been resharing the video, like the dealer network. So they must agree with us too that they reckon they need a bit better marketing. They've been sharing the videos online.
Hope they sell some cars out of it.
Absolutely. Good on you guys.
Yeah.
And we don't mind a kickback too. Spotters fee. Get it down here too. We only take cash, by the way. But yeah, that's great. That shows you that they were looking at it. And the review wasn't about whether the glove box was too plasticky or whatever. It was about whether it's a cool car, whether it's got street cred, and whether it should be in supercars.
That's what it was about, mate.
And we tick the boxes for all
Passion
of
for the brand and how do you create it.
Yeah, no, it was actually good fun. So we want to do a bit more of that. Got an idea of what we should do. We should do a shootout. Kia, Mustang and Camaro. Shootout.
And we better get the Commodore as well.
Huh? Well...
The four-wheel drive turbo one, the one with all the...
Yeah, I know, but is that on the way out for the Camaro?
Don't know, let's find out.
True. Okay, let's do a 4. We can do that. Okay, some fan comments as well. I've had some great cars in the past, and my fantastic red Kia Stinger is right up there with them. This was from Rob Tate. One thing these guys hit the nail right on the head was this pathetic marketing of the Stinger. So there you go. That's coming from a Kia owner as well. So there you go. But he's gone out and bought one. Loved the test and loves his car. Luke Dagalish. Great show, guys. Love the no BS facts and opinions. It's what everyone else is thinking. That you two underestimate your star power.
Really?
Yeah, apparently what star power. You should auction those vehicles off to raise money for the show, or a better wind tunnel, meaning the cars we've been using in some of the stunts. It's not a bad idea. I bet some young old fan would stump up some hard-earns for an ex-Ingall Morris Commodore or even the COG van. So there you go.
I think that's already been crushed.
Has it? Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should do, because Top Gear used to keep all their cars.
They have a graveyard.
Yeah, graveyard. Yeah,
graveyard.
Because Top Gear kept all their stuff.
Okay.
Like that Toyota Hilux, they dropped off of buildings, and maybe we should start that one up. So thanks, Luke. Yes, it's a very good idea. Ross Cannon, another Kia one. I've owned a GT now for 18 months. Best car I've ever owned. Runs rings around my old SS. Ooh, Holden fans won't be like that. Quality performance, fuel consumption, service for the price the Stinger is a no-brainer. If you test drive one, you'll want to own it.
That's basically what we found out.
That's what we found out. So there you go. This is coming from people that actually own the things as well. Another one from Terry Lander. Brilliant show, best host, best content, make racing great again. To commentate a round of Supercars online, bring it on. Can't wait for episode 5. It's coming at you. Their next instalment, Russ for Prime Minister. Sorry, that step's already been taken. What do you think about this commentating?
Oh, I'd like to do it. I think we'd have a lot of fun doing it.
We've got to try and rig it up.
Yeah.
I've had a few discussions at a radio station in National One that maybe, or we could do it online through Facebook. Working out the logistics of it, if we can do it, a lot of requests, like I reckon it's the most popular request that we get from comments through the Facebook page is that we've got to commentate a Supercars race.
Okay, well, we just got to work out how to sync it. But...
Yeah. I mean, all we need is a monitor and timing. We can get both of them. Might give it a run.
I'm in, mate.
Yeah, okay, you're in. Okay. Lance Mayer. Hi, guys. Enjoy the show. My question is, with you, Russell Ingall, be going to a Supercars event in the near future, or is it... are you going to a Supercars event in the near future?
Probably don't have a pass.
Or is it part of your departure from Supercars Fox that you cannot attend an event? Yeah, I can attend an event, but I haven't got a pass, mate. And
well, you just need to pick up the phone to Sean Seamer and go, mate, can I have a media pass, please?
You reckon they'd give me one?
Of course they would, mate.
Good luck with that. I'll give it a stab. I don't know. You think after all my years of service, I'd get a pass?
You would, mate. Of course you would.
Because it's quite expensive to go to some of the meetings.
You get a pass, mate.
You reckon?
2 times Bathurst champion.
Yeah.
Australian Touring Car champion, V8 Supercar champion.
You reckon they'd offer to give me one, wouldn't you?
Just pick up the phone, mate. Call the bloke. I guarantee you'll be right.
Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, I'll give you a phone, sure. Right, Bruce McMullen. Kia has, another Kia, so many Kia ones. Kia has really stepped it up. I've had a good look at the Stinger. Great car, just a bit hard to get your head around the badge. Maybe a different branding for the sports cars, a bit like Lexus and Toyota maybe.
That's what we thought too. It was one of the things I come across. They come up with, or Genesis with the Hyundai, so yeah.
So they need to come up with another badge for it. People can't seem to get over the badge. They like the car, but they can't get over the badge.
Well, it was on the race car. It was on the racetrack. No one would have a problem with the Kia badge.
Yeah. Okay.
Just race it. Go racing, Kia.
So,
Please,
there's so
please
many.
go racing.
There's so many. There's so many coming. It's all about Junior McKenna. Probably the best value money can buy right now. Speaking of the Kia again, top jobs.
You're trying to get a free one.
Oh,
there must be some more comments in there.
There's so many of them coming out. I always say, top job guys. You have the facility, you have the experience. You need a proper show like Top Gear, but your own. Well, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, we just don't have.
No, on the TV or on the streaming service. Yeah, I think that's pretty well.
Tens of millions in production budget.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem. I think Top Gear had over £1 million per episode. Trust me, with £1 million, we could do some serious damage. Don't worry about that. Chris Beer, Russell Ingall and Paul Morris, the dude Morris, loving the show, guys. I've had a thought. Why don't one of you try for the CEO job at Supercars, or at least try and get on the board of V8 Supercars?
Oh. I wouldn't be qualified to be the CEO.
No. Would you get on the board though if you're asked?
I don't think I would, mate. No.
Really? Why not?
I've just got better stuff to do with my life now, mate. That I enjoy doing. Like I enjoy doing this, and I enjoy doing the stuff that I want to do. So.
What about an advisor? Because to me, I mean, it's already proved on this show already. You know, the amount of stuff that we've gone through and the ideas that you've come up with that. People have gone, I mean, you look at the TCR stuff we've been talking about, racing, you know, what we talked about cost cutting today as well. You've got a lot of input, and we've both done a lot of, it'd be a shame.
No, I got better stuff to do, mate. I really have. And then I love all motorsport, and then to pigeonhole, like if they said, if I got offered that position, I wouldn't want to do it just for the sake that I want to embrace all racing and I want to make racing great again.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, that's good. And it is time consuming.
Yeah, it is.
There's a few people on it that pull their hair out because they're doing other things as well. It's not a full-time position. Radio from Ian Latoot. Sorry if I got it wrong. Latoot. Sorry if I got it wrong, Ian. Great show. Would be great to get more manufacturers into supercars, but they don't seem to stick. What would be a better draw card to get them in? So he's saying, they've come in, but they haven't stayed around.
Or they haven't stayed around. Well, the Volvo one was a decision that was made in Sweden. It wasn't made. That was winning races. It had passion. They had Scotty McLaughlin. They had everything there. And that was just a boardroom decision that was made somewhere else around the world. So we're such a small market. There's so many different things that could get a manufacturer in and a manufacturer out. But the most important thing you got to do is make it cost effective for them to come into the sport and support it, and you're not going to get that big number anymore. So when they come up with a new car and how they do it, it's got to be thought about how do you get different manufacturers involved in the sport
and be competitive as well
and have a chance of winning.
Unlike Nissan, and that's their biggest problem. That must have been one of the reasons that they eventually, because if they were winning or competitive all the time, surely they would have stayed in.
Yeah, well. They maybe
the result. Well, not totally. I realise there's marketing,
not selling anymore and whatever. But yeah, if you're winning and you're on a roll, you'll stay in. But then I've seen car manufacturers that at the height of their prowess pull out of the sport at the top. It's just a boardroom decision that they're going to go. And
I mean, Volvo were winning and they still pulled out, didn't they?
Yeah.
Which was a shock to everyone. Last one. Lakeside, John Phoenix here wrote me a comment that went on for 4 pages, so I won't go through it all.
Yeah.
But there's a bit of issue with Lakeside. They're trying to close the joint down, or again. I know it's always.
Yeah, they've got pretty stringent noise restrictions up there, and they used to get an exemption to run. I think the number was 4 marquee big events a year, and now they're having issues with that because they're just making a little bit too much noise.
But that's, the track was there before the houses.
Track was there before the houses. The track's been there for years. So if you go back to it, they tried to actually shut Lakeside down.
Yep.
And then some smart cookies there involved in motor racing worked out. They actually heritage listed the control tower because the Australian Grand Prix that stopped the track from getting closed down. Then got it operating again. But it's a crying shame. You got a circuit that's been there since the 60s, all that history there. Yeah. It's a sporting facility for the community.
Fantastic.
A car going down the road makes more noise, and the silent majority of people that whinge about stuff in our world today just have too much power.
Just for the sake of a couple. And that's what they're saying. It sounds like there's only a couple of residents that are kicking that's trying to get, and the tradition around Lakeside, I mean, Jesus, you remember the battles around there. I mean, it was such a fantastic circuit. To have something now for just clubby races and historic races and really cool stuff, you know. There's not enough facility around, and they're trying to shut that one down.
Yeah, so if they can change the zoning from what it is now to a sporting facility, which would what you would have at a cricket ground or something like that, they can operate. So that's what they need to do. That's a sporting facility for the community. If you live next door to Lang Park or the MCG, you don't ring up and complain about the noise.
Yep. Well, there is an online petition going about it, so jump on everyone and help
let's get some support.
Yeah, help support that track as well and everyone that's involved in it. So do a bit of research, jump online. If there's anything you can help, especially Queenslanders, get on and do something about that because we want to save Lakeside as well. So that's too important. Mate, that was a huge show. I know it's gone on for a bit, but we had so much to talk about, especially because we delayed another week with the show because we wanted to make it to after Darwin, which I'm glad we did. Got through some greats. Don't forget, next one we'll have part 2 of our Safe Supercars cost cutting as well. So Safe Supercars, make Supercars great again. Now, dude's life message. I hope you got a good one because I have no idea what it is. So you got to lay it on me.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
It's only a rort if you're not in on it.
Anything to do with recent parity adjustments, anything like that? Or?
Oh, could have anything to do with anything, Russ.
Okay, it's only a rort
if you're not in.
If you're not in on it. Yeah, I think I've been on a few of them too. There you go. that's a good one to go to for sure. An oldie but a goodie, mate. It's been great, fantastic. See you again next episode.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks for joining us. And again, thanks for the comments. I know we don't get back to all of them because literally there's thousands of the things, but we do appreciate it and we do look at it. Keep them coming, especially our ideas. And if we can do it, if we can afford it, we'll try. So for sure. See you next time. Get out of here, but do come back for the next one. See you guys.